Hi all, it's Nat here, hope you're all doing well. I am on to do my first tutorial video for the goodies that I got from Beebeecraft for this month. So I've got a pile of stuff. This is going to be a lot of fun. So first I got these frames, paper frames. They did not come in this box. I just thought I would put them in this to keep them all together so I don't lose anything. And I also got these, they're sort of like frames as well. They have them like frames with the cutouts, and then they have the same in vellum. So beautiful, heaps of fun for journaling and collaging and just making page embellishments with. Something that I don't use a lot of, this sort of thing, and I thought it would be fun to have a go. And you get so many in each pack that they will last you for ages. There was also this set of vintage stickers, another thing I don't use a lot of, and I thought I'd have some fun with. So that come with 4 different packs. Got these buckle sliders. You might have seen me using these in a previous video, probably because I'll fess up to this. Sometimes when I'm doing tutorials for the 2 companies at the same time, I didn't mix up the stuff, but I know I wanted to use these on something that I made previously and completely forgot that they were for the different company. So, but that's all right. These are awesome, and I'll use them as much as I can anyway. So they're so cute. They're tiny little buckles, and they're heaps of fun to use. So we'll do something again with them. I also got these self-stick rhinestones, I suppose you'd say they are. And they're absolutely beautiful. So they're on double-sided tape, so they're ready to use. And I got these rub-ons. So they're floral rub-ons. They're from the Flower Forest series. And there's 5 different packs. I love these so much. They're just beautifully packed in these vellum envelopes, which I'm going to reuse in my journals as well. And I've seen people using these in fabric. So when I saw them, I thought, oh, I'm going to try them out in the fabric because I want to see how they go. Not knowing, because I don't take much notice of things, that they actually have some calico in them. Now, the link to Beebeecraft is below, as is the link to all the individual products that I've just shown you. There's also my coupon code, which is NAT10, so make sure you use that if you decide to purchase anything from Beebeecraft, and you'll get 10% off of your whole order. So I've grabbed my rub-ons, just taking out some of the calico. So in each pack that came with the set, you get 2 sheets of rub-ons and 2 lots of the calico. Just cutting it down into smaller pieces to use, fraying the edges a little bit. Now I've grabbed my vintage photo ink, and I'm just going around the edges mainly of the calico with that, just to give it a bit more of a vintage feel. So I choose the flower or the label that I want to use, and I cut that out of my sheet of rub-ons. So for this one, I've grabbed a flower as well as one of the labels. So it's very easy to peel the layers apart. And then you can just stick your rub-on down, and I'm using my bone folder to rub it onto the fabric. I rub it quite firmly and then lift a little bit to see if it's stuck, and then keep rubbing a bit as I lift it up to make sure it's stuck. I then tend to put the plastic layer back over the top of the rub-on again and rub over it again, just in case when I'm lifting the plastic up, it sort of lifts up some of the edge bits of the rub-on. I want to make sure they're all stuck down really well. So you can see there, I put it back on and just give it another rub over. And they turn out gorgeous. I had so much fun with these. So simple, but it turns out to be such a beautiful embellishment. So there are a number of different colours of flowers in the set, and you will see at the end when I show you all the ones that I've done. So again, I've got a little number label and a flower. I think it's a rose to put on this one. So if you lift the plastic off a bit and you see that it hasn't stuck down, you just rub over it a bit more again. So here I have some book pages in another language. I think it's Russian, possibly. And I'm just going over them with some white gesso. So I tried using a scraper and then I used my brush. Prefer the way the scraper looks, but as I was trying to get the gesso out with the scraper, it was just getting stuck on the edges of the scraper. So I ended up putting some gesso on my silicone mat, and then I can pick it up with the scraper. The scraper's great to cover the page quite quickly with. I think it's just a rubber scraper, that one. So I let them dry now. I want to get some colour on them. So I'm using my Distress Oxide sprays. I just spray them onto my packaging and then a little bit of water as well onto them so that they move a bit. Then I just smush it over my gessoed paper there. I had a bit much ink, so I grabbed an extra page here, so I'm doing 2 at once. So I clean it off in between colours. Grab another colour to do. I think this is my spun sugar. It's very subtle, that colour. You can see it's not showing up very much, and when it dries, it usually dries a bit lighter as well. So I use a bit less water with the second page. Still not much colour. So I spray straight on the page and then smush that a bit. So now I'm doing some green. So sometimes the edge of the packaging gives me some straight lines, so I try to smush over the top of them so we don't have straight lines left in the colour. So these are the pages once they're all dry. You can see it's lightened up a bit, the colour. So with some of the pages, I do rip the edges off with the ruler a bit just to make them a bit rougher. Got my Distress ink there. I think I'm using frayed burlap for this first one. Keeping it with the brown tones. Just hunting for a stencil to do a bit of background stenciling. Using a brush to apply that. So these will basically be page toppers. It's a great way to use up the book pages. Just rummaging through the frames that I got from Beebeecraft here to find one that I think will go on this page. And then looking at my book pictures, I've got piles and piles of book pictures here from discarded books that I'm trying to recycle. So just pick out a few that I think might go. These frames were lots of fun to work with. All the stuff was so much fun this time. Well, it is every time, but haven't used much of this sort of thing, so it was fun trying out something different for me. But these pages will be so handy to stick into journals. They're all ready to go now. So I've got this picture that I like and I want to put it in the frame, so I need to cut it down to fit in the frame. So I just turned it upside down and made a line where I wanted to cut it. So it fits in there nicely, but of course it's not the right width. So I thought, well, we can have a partial frame on there. I actually like that. It gives us more room on the page for writing if we move it over a bit to the left. So I'll stick the picture down first. Then we can stick our frame piece on. So make sure to apply the glue on the inside of the frame piece and the outer, and then a few bits in between here and there, but I really want it to stick around the outside and the inside there. I probably need to do one of those glue sponges in a plastic container so I can just press onto that to get the glue on. So just cut the excess off, and I don't waste those bits. You can reuse them in other projects. I thought with this one I'd just use the other side of it on my page. So now I'm looking at the vintage stickers. I'm emptying them out bit by bit onto a plate so I can rifle through them and pick the pieces that I want. So I've picked that clock. Now I'm looking for some words to stick down the bottom. I think these bolder words will work better. Got some more of my book pictures here. They're all these antique and vintage cars, so they're in brown tones, and I thought one would go nicely on this page as well. Just cutting the white edges off. Ink around that just defines the edges a bit more. I decided to put it on an angle, so I'm just cutting the top corner off to remind me what angle I want to put it on. Now I've got a text stamp, just stamping that in a couple of spots for the background, just adds a bit of interest. Now I know where I want everything, I can start sticking it down. So I'm using my knife here just to lift one of the layers off my sticker. I thought I was doing so well with it, and then I look and it's a bit crooked, but oh well. Doesn't have to be perfect. I do use my bone folder to rub over the edges of the sticker. It just makes better contact and makes it more transparent, I think. Sticking down the other part of my frame there. Cutting the excess blank plastic and that away from the words. So ink around the edge of my page, and that's my first page done. So I'll do a couple more of these with you. Next one I'm doing in green tones. So I've got my stencil firstly and a green ink. I like to wipe my stencils down with a baby wipe when I've finished using them. So I'm grabbing one of the frames again, and I thought this time we'd put one of the rub-ons in the middle of it. So I'm just doing some stamping first. Text stamp again. I think, oh, actually that's a music stamp. So I'll put the rub-on in the middle of the frame. And this is another one of my book pictures. Again, just defining the edges with my green ink. So you can make these pages as simple or as busy as you like. I prefer them simple. I don't use my journals really. I like to give them away or sell them or whatever. So I prefer to leave room for the recipient to be able to write a lot in them or stick extra things if they'd like to. So I keep a lot of bits and pieces that I find interesting out of books. So I've got a little piece there with that decoration, and then I have one of the book page titles. I think that one says "Believe in Yourself." It's a bit hard to see from here. So I'm just inking around both those pieces again in the green. Then I'll stick the words onto the decorative piece. Then I've got a few of the stickers from the vintage sticker packs. Just cutting that car one down a little bit. And then I can stick my little word decoration on the bottom. Bit of an ink around the edges, then onto the next one, which I'm doing in blue tones. So again, going in with the stencil and my blue ink. Frame again, and this time I've got a botanical picture. Again, the picture's not big enough to fill up the frame, so I decide that I'll just use a partial frame, and I put the leftovers away for another project. I was too lazy to grab my dauber, so I ended up using my stencil brush to apply the ink to the edges there. So you can see there the plate where I'm tipping out all the vintage stickers, so I can search through them easier. I'm just going through and picking the bits that I think will look nice on this page. So I have some words here. And then the bicycle, there's a stack of bikes in one of the packets of the vintage stickers, which is a lot of fun to use. Then I've got one of my postage stamps, and I'm just adding a bit of blue ink to that. And it can go up in that top right corner. And I decide that it'll look good with a stamp on it, so I rifle through my stamps that I pulled out and find this postmark one with the bird on it. Just add that to finish things off. So the next project I want to do is a really simple tag, and I want to use the rub-on on the calico for this. So I'm just folding a book page over in 3 like that. Makes it nice and sturdy. And I want to apply the rub-on piece to the front there. And I sewed it on. You can see there where the sewing is. Before I stick the pages together, I sew it on. I just fold it at the start so I know where I want to place my fabric. Although I did put it on this not very centered. After I've done the sewing, I can stick my page down like that to make my tag. Then you want to cut the corners up the top there. So I'm inking around the edges with brown. I ink the front and the back. Such a simple tag. I love the way these turned out too. Beautiful. And then I add a hole for my topper. And then I go and sew around the edge of the whole tag. Just straight stitch again there. I have a scrap of material. I cut it up into points on both the ends there to make it easier for me to put it through the hole in the tag, and also helps me add the buckle slider. Love these buckle sliders. So I'm putting both ends through the buckle slider on one side, up through, and then I put it down through the other side. It's a lot easier if you do your little points there to get it through. Then you can just push the slider down on it. So I decide that I'll add a writing spot to the back of the tag. So I grab a scrap bit of paper, just rip it down to size, rip the top corners down a bit so they fit nicely, then ink around the edges. Then I can stick that to the back. Nice writing room. And then, because this is the one where I got it really off centre, I decide I'll add this number stamp, and that will help balance things a bit better. Then I want to do a little bit of stenciling down in the blank bit there. So I add a bit of washi tape to my stencil just to mask off the second row of flowers, because I just want to get that one row on there. That's my tag done. So the last thing I want to do with you is make a couple of clusters. So I've put one of the rub-ons onto one of my ink dyed pages here, and I just ripped that out. It's got one of the smaller rub-ons there. So I'll go around the edges of that with some blue. Makes it stand out nicely. I've got an old book picture here. It's got a purple flower on it. I thought that would go nice contrast to the blue. Grab out some blue and some purple end book page it is, the coloured book pages that you find at the start and the back of your books. Just ripping some of those bits out to layer underneath my picture. Ripping off most of the straight edges. And I just put them all together until I'm happy with the way it looks. And then I can stick all the pieces down. Such a quick, fun project doing this. A great way to use up scraps. And I love the way the rub-on just adds that wow factor to it. So now I want to make a fabric cluster with one of the rub-ons that we put onto the calico. So I'm just grabbing out some of my square fabric scraps here to layer up. And I will tack them down with glue, and then I will sew around them to hold them all together. So these are the awesome products that I got from Beebeecraft this time around. So these are the buckle sliders that I used as my tag toppers. I will likely be using some of the smaller ones in next week's project. They are so much fun. You get heaps in the pack and they're tiny, and I just love using them with my scrap ribbons and scrap fabrics. Also got the rub-ons, which I have removed from their packaging. Just put in a plastic bag for now. So there's a lot of different colours there. I had heaps of fun with them. They're absolutely beautiful. Don't use rub-ons a lot, but I really enjoyed using them on the calico. We got calico with the rub-ons in each packet. So got these beautiful frames, which I have put into these photo holders. Stacks of them, and these are beautiful, and they were so much fun to use. Don't often use that sort of thing, but I did have a ball with it this time. I do like using old book pictures and that, but it takes a lot of time to create your own frames or die cut them or cut out enough book pictures if you want to do a lot of mass making. So this is a great way to add to what you can find around the place junk wise, to make something beautiful and have a lot of it at hand. Now these vellum and paper embellishments I haven't used yet, so I'll be using those in my next video as well. So I'll put them over that side. So these self-adhesive rhinestones I'll be using next time as well. That will be a bit of fun. Another thing I'm not very used to using. I did, however, use a fair few of these stickers as well, and they came in a multi-pack as well. I've taken them all out of the packaging and put them on this plate so I could rifle through and find the bits that I wanted. Now, I will say there are these word stickers, and I think as these are made in a different country, the translation of the words is a little bit strange. So I did hunt through and just cut out words here and there that would work for what I was making. So that's what I'll probably do with these, is cut out the words and arrange them in a way that I want for my project. So I do like to be transparent with the products that I grab. But otherwise, these were awesome. Quite easy to peel. You could use your craft knife. I ended up just using my fingernail, but if you put them down flat on your cutting mat and just use your craft knife, you can quite easily lift the layers. And they look beautiful. And then I just rub them down with my bone folder, and that makes the edges sort of a little more transparent as well once it grips well to the page that you're putting them on. Heaps and heaps of fun. Again, it's hard to cut out this many pictures in a hurry from books, so this is a way of doing some mass making, having something a bit different, but I really enjoyed using these products with my book pages and the pictures that I have cut out and that sort of thing. Okay, so let's get on with it and see what we made with those goodies. Now, what I thought I'd do is grab some old book pages and decorate these as journal pages. That way, when I'm making a journal, if I've got, like, I might use a page out of a book that has something that I don't want to see on it, I can just stick one of these over the top as a journal page. I can also use them as flip outs and that sort of thing. So these will be great. I've been wanting to do this sort of thing for ages, just decorate a whole lot of pages ready to go into journals. So I did use the gesso on the bottom, and you can write over the top of that. So I have left spots. I haven't decorated the whole page because I want to put them in a journal for someone else to decorate. So I decorated them quite simply so that there's still room to write notes and that in between. So they're just plain on the back because, of course, they will most likely be stuck down to a page. So I've got some of the beautiful stickers there, and there's some of the word stickers. I used some of the frame, which I cut off, and then these are book pictures that I had in my stash. So a great way to use it all together. And you saw me do the spraying, and I did stamping and stenciling with my distress inks. So there's that one. These are the ones that we did together. I used a postage stamp on that one. And I used some of the stamps that I've got from Beebeecraft and Global Land, because Beebeecraft do sell some Global Land stamps as well. There's some stenciling down there that came up nice. Some of the stickers. Again, another one of my book pictures, and then some of the frame. That one's got the frame. I used the rub-ons on there, and the rub-ons come off really easily on the book page. I was surprised actually at how well they stuck to the book page, so really happy about that. Some more of the vintage stickers, one of my book pictures, and then this is a book page title. I've kept a lot of them. If they say something I like, I keep them for tags and this sort of thing. And this is another bit from an old book as well that I liked, so I just used that to do my little label bit down the bottom. Bit of stamping, love it. This one I ended up cutting the page in half because I thought I'd make it a smaller size. I could make it into a journal card. I could just stick it onto another piece and cut it down. Again, it's got some stamping. The vintage, it's got 3 of the vintage stickers there, and then one of my book page titles. So much fun. These are some of the other ones I made off camera. So this one's just got the 2 vintage stickers. I really love the colours in that. Heaps of room to write. A beautiful page to stick into a journal. It's another one that I did with some stamping, a couple of vintage stickers. Again, just beautiful colours, and then a book page title there that I thought was nice. Did do a bit of stenciling there. Yeah, really love these. Heaps and heaps of fun. Great way to use up your book pages. So again, some vintage stickers, some of the words that I cut down. This one, I don't think I quite finished with this. It does need some stamping or stenciling, just some stenciling even, just down here and up along there would be really nice to finish it off. Again, it leaves a lot of space on there for someone to journal on it if they want. And it's got 3 vintage stickers and then one of the beautiful frames. This one's got 2 of the sort of frame pieces, the 2 heart ones. Vintage stickers there. And then one of my book pictures, floral book pictures, which I fussy cut. So you can see how I've sort of mixed up my own personal junk out of books and the items that I got from Beebeecraft. Then I've got a couple of pages left over that I can still decorate in the future. I thought I'd better stop there or else I would have kept going forever. Then the next thing we made was some tags. So this is the one we made together, and it was quite off centre, so I did the stamping and the stenciling. I also added the writing spot on the back. Absolutely loved that. And we made that with the rub-ons that I put onto the calico. And this is the calico that came with the rub-ons, and I loved the way these turned out. And so there were a few that I used coloured inks on. Aren't they beautiful? I think that's another one with coloured ink there. I just love these so much. And then we've got some of the plainer ones that I did with just a vintage photo, I think, ink. So these I can use. They can go in on a journal page just as they are, or to decorate a pocket or something. Or you could use them on the tags like I've shown, or the clusters. But yeah, I had so much fun. I've been wanting to try doing the rub-ons on the fabric for ages now, so I was so happy to get these and give it a go, and I love them. So that was the tag, as I said, that we made together. And then I did make a few others. Also, these have the sliders. They've got the larger sliders holding on some of my scrap material. And then I just slipped them on, as you saw. I've left the threads hanging because I quite like the way that looks. If I didn't want them hanging, I'd probably pull them through to the back and tie them off in a knot so that they don't come undone. And, you know, the fabric's bubbling a little bit just because I sewed it on without sticking it down. If you didn't want that to happen, you could stick it down, although you want to be careful not to put too much glue on or else it would show through. So that's why I opted to just sew. So I just did a straight stitch around them. So here's another one. I love the colours on this. I love how the orange goes with the brown. Very, very simple. Now with all of these ones, I haven't added the writing paper on the back yet or done any stamping. That's something I can do when I go to put it in a journal and I know what type of stamps I might like to use. I really love them just the way they are. Love the colour on this one. So there's 2 rub-ons there, the label and that. Now with this one, I had a bit of a whoopsie with the label and it did break a bit, but that's all right. It looks really cool just having a partial label. I've done that with a few of my projects, I think. It's another one with a beautiful white rose, and I've just sewn that around with white. And again, I've got different coloured buckle sliders. There's the gold, the silver, the bronze, and this one would be the nickel. I just love them so much. They're heaps of fun to use. And then the last thing we decided to do was some clusters. Another way of using the rub-ons. When you've got these little ones, you can put them on your paper or on your calico. Just layer it up with some of your scrap fabrics. And I just did some messy stitching around that one. Was going to add like some ribbons with my slider in, but I couldn't figure a way that they looked right, so I'll leave that for next time when I've got time to think about it more. I love it the way it is. Beautiful. I would make piles of them. I just love them. And then here's one with my scrap papers, which was heaps of fun as well. So of course I just did the rub on onto some of my ink dyed page that I used for my full pages, some of my book picture scraps, and then some they're start page scraps from books that I pull out. So when you get the coloured page at the start of your books, I always keep them, and I've got heaps of scraps of them. You can always find what colour you want with those. So that was so much fun making that as well. So of course these could be used just on a corner of a page. You could stick this to a page and use it as a little tuck spot, decorate a pocket or a tag with it, anything like that. So it's worth making a pile of those as well. So I think that was it. Yeah. So that was so much fun. Thank you so much to Beebeecraft for those awesome products. I had so much fun trying all of that out and thinking of ways I can use them in my journals. So the link to Beebeecraft is below, as is the individual link to the products that I unboxed and am using in the 2 tutorials that I'm doing. There's also my code, which is NAT10. If you put that in upon checkout, you can get 10% off of your order with Beebeecraft, which is awesome. So I hope you enjoyed that. I certainly did. Do take care of yourselves, and I will see you again soon. Bye.